Hi everyone, welcome to day 5. On the front cover of our packet next to day 5, put down today's date so you know what to do tonight. Notice there's only one homework page, just page 29 tonight. You can have your homework out for us to go over momentarily after you write that on the front of the packet, and also have your warm-up sheet out. And we're going to pause the video just for 1 minute for you to try the 2 warm-ups. They should be pretty quick warm-ups. Look back in your packet if you need a refresher, but go ahead, give that a try now. All right, if we want parallel, we want same slope. Notice we're already in our y equals mx plus b form. So our m is our slope, so therefore our parallel slope would just be 5/3. If we want perpendicular slope, we want what's called the negative reciprocal. The sign of the slope is changed, meaning if the original was positive, the new would be negative, or vice versa, and the fraction gets flipped. So our perpendicular slope, remember that's our symbol for perpendicular, the upside down capital T, would have to be a negative because the original slope is positive, and then flip the fraction so we get negative 3/5. So you can stick your warm-up away and we'll move over to the homework. First one on the homework, we wanted to create a parallel line, so we're looking for same slope. It was already in mx plus b form, so we could pick out our slope of -2. So we start out with y equals -2x plus b. Our x was 0 and our y was 3, so fill those in for x and y and get b by itself. And then to finish it off, write your equation with that value of b filled in. In 1b, it was just a little more work. We had to rearrange in the beginning to get y by itself. So I added x over. So we had x plus 4. And I divided everything by 2. On the right of the equal sign, don't write that as x over 2 when you divide by 2. Since there's really a 1 in front of the x, write it as 1/2 x. That'll make it easier to pick out the slope. We wanted parallel, so we took that same slope of 1/2. Then we used our x of -2 and our y of 4, and we filled that in. We worked to get b by itself. We got b as 5, and then our equation was y equals 1/2 x plus 5. Moving to number 2, similar idea, but we were just doing perpendicular. So in A, already in y equals mx plus b form, so our perpendicular slope, we needed to change the sign. So our original was positive, so now we'll have negative, and flip the fraction. So 1 over 2 becomes 2 over 1, and 2 over 1 is just the same as a 2, so that's why we have -2. So here we have y equals -2x plus b. Fill in your x and y and solve for b. We get b is 8. And then just fill in the b in that line where I have the red arrow, and we end up getting y equals -2x plus 8. 2b was a similar idea. We just had to rearrange to get in y equals mx plus b form first. We have -2 for our current slope. Well, that's really -2 over 1. So change the sign. So we want a positive now. And then flip the fraction so we get 1 over 2. So we have y equals 1/2 x plus b. X and y both happen to be 4 here, so fill those in. Solve for b, you get b equals 2, and we end up with y equals 1/2 x plus 2. So we want to pass through the midpoint and also be perpendicular. So first, average your x's and average your y's. So add your x's, divide by 2, we get 5. Add our y's, divide by 2, we get 4. That gives us our midpoint. Then do our y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to find the current slope. We get -5/4. But they want us to be perpendicular. So we've got to change the sign of the slope. The original slope was negative. Our new slope will be positive. And we got to flip the fraction. So we get +5/4. We will now use that perpendicular slope, and we will use the midpoint as our x and y. So we have y equals 4/5 x plus b. fill in your x and y and solve for b, you get b is 0. So we just have y equals 4/5 x. If you put a plus 0 on the end, that's perfectly fine, but plus 0 is not doing anything, so you don't necessarily need to have that there. All right, today is going to be a practice day, so we're going to start on page 25. So starting on page 25, together we're going to do numbers 1, 3, and 5. And then that will end the video portion of today's lesson, and then you will, on your own, do numbers 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8. So again, we'll do 1, 3, and 5 together in this video, and then after the video, you'll do those remaining 5, 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8. Now, when you're doing those remaining ones, what you'll do is you'll do the problem. You're welcome to talk with the people in your group to help each other out while you're doing that. And once you finish question 2, you'll get up and go to where question 2's answer key is posted on the whiteboard, check your answers, make any corrections as needed, and then sit back down. Then you would go on to do number 4. When you finish question 4, same idea. Get up to where number 4 is on the whiteboard, check your answer. If you need to make any corrections, make corrections, and then go back and do number 6. So that's what you'll be doing after the video ends, but we're going to do one of each type and do 1, 3, and 5 together first. So on number 1 on page 25, we want to know if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. If they are parallel, we're looking for same slope, different y-intercept. Perpendicular, we're looking for slopes that are flipped and the sign changed. That's called a negative reciprocal. And neither would just be some other combination. So to figure that out, we need to get in y equals mx plus b form, meaning we have to get y by itself. So in the left-hand equation, I'm going to start by subtracting the 4x over. So that'll give us 3y equals, and so the right side starts to look more like an mx plus b. I'm going to put the minus 4x first and then the plus 24. Next, to get y by itself, we're going to divide everything by 3. So we'll have y equals, 3 does not divide nicely into a 4, and it doesn't reduce, so we'll just have negative 4/3 x, and then we'll have plus 8. So we're all set for right now on the left-hand equation. Let's move over to the right-hand equation. Again, we will work to try to get y by itself, and I'll start by adding the 4x over. So this gives us negative 3y equals 4x plus 24. We'll divide everything by negative 3. That'll give us y equals, 3 does not go in nicely to a 4, and it doesn't reduce, so we'll just leave this as a negative 4/3 x, and then a minus 8. So if we look at our slopes, notice we have the same slope. So potentially these could be parallel. We just have to make sure the y-intercepts are different. We'll notice y-intercept on the left is 8, on the right is negative 8. They're different, so we're in good shape. These are parallel. So we can say parallel since same slope and different y-intercept. If they had been perpendicular, our explanation would have been that because the slopes were negative reciprocals, or you could have said because the slopes, the sign is changed and the fraction is flipped, that means the same thing. And if they were neither, we would say because the slopes are not equal or negative reciprocals. We're going to move over to the next page, page 26, and we're going to look at number 3 together now. In this one, we want to find a parallel line that passes through the point that they give us. Parallel, we want same slope. To pick out the slope, first get it in y equals mx plus b form. So we'll start by dividing everything by 2. So we'll have y equals 3x minus 4. that means our current slope is just 3. Since we want same slope, that's what we'll use. So we'll have y equals 3x plus b. We now will take our x and our y and fill them into our equation so we can solve for b. We'll have 6 equals 3 times negative 2 plus b. We'll always just multiply that slope and the x together next. So we'll have negative 6 plus b on the right. And then always just do your opposite operation to get the b by itself. So we'll be adding 6 in this case. So we'll get 12 equals b. To finish off, just take the equation we had written with our slope we wanted, but the b missing, and we'll just fill the b in. So we'll have y equals 3x plus 12. If you ever want to check your answer, just put this equation in a graphs page and do a Control T. When you look through the table, check and see is negative 2 comma 6 one of the points in your table. If it is, then you can be confident that you have the right answer. We'll look at one last question together in this video. So if you flip over to the next page, page 27, we'll look at number 5 together. In this one, we just want to be perpendicular to the given line, but passing through the point. Perpendicular, we want a slope that's a negative reciprocal. That means the sign is changed. That's the negative part. And then the fraction is flipped. That's the reciprocal part. So first we need to get it in y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to start by subtracting this 6 over to start to get the y by itself. We'll have 3x minus 6 equals 4y. Next we'll divide everything by 4. So we'll have 3/4 x, because 4 does not go into 3 and it does not reduce. 4 doesn't go into 6, but it does reduce. You can divide them both by 2, so we get negative 3/2 equals y. So our current slope is 3/4, but we need our perpendicular slope. The sign should change and the fraction gets flipped. Our current slope is a positive, so our perpendicular slope would have to be negative. And then just flip your fraction and we get 4/3. So that's called the negative reciprocal. So we'll put that in for m in our y equals mx plus b. We'll have y equals negative 4/3 x plus b. And now we'll take our x and our y to sub in to find b. So we're going to have 7 equals negative 4/3 times 2 plus b. We'll always multiply the slope and the x first. You could just put that in your calculator. It will give you negative 8/3. But let's just talk about where that negative 8/3 is coming from so you can practice doing it without your calculator also. 2 is really a fraction. It's really 2 over 1. When you multiply fractions together, you just multiply the tops together and then multiply the bottoms together. So multiplying the tops gives us the negative 8. Multiplying the bottoms gives us the 3. We'll carry down our plus b. And to do opposite operations, we'll just add the 8/3 over. Now again, you could just do the 7 plus 8/3 in your calculator and it'll give you back what it is. That's perfectly fine. Let's just talk about what your calculator is really doing though. What your calculator does is it essentially switches 7 to some amount of thirds. 7 is the same as 21/3 because 21 divided by 3 is 7. So if you have 21/3 plus 8/3, that's just going to give you 29/3. So that's where your calculator is getting it from. And to finish out, we'll just write our equation. Always use the new slope. Never go back to that original slope. So we'll have y equals negative 4/3 x plus 29/3. And again, if you want to check your answer, put that equation in a graphs page, do a Control T, and see if that 0.27 is one of the points in the table. If it is, then you can be confident in your work. All right, so the rest of the period, you're going to be doing 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8 on these same pages. So going from page 25 all the way through 28. So 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Check your answers after each individual one. So do question 2. You're welcome to talk with your group mates and help each other as you're doing it. But when you finish question 2, get up, go check your answer to number 2. Bring your pencil with you. Make any corrections that you might need to on question 2. Then once you're good with question 2, go sit back down, do question 4. When you're done with that, same idea. Get up, go check your answer, make any corrections as needed, go back, do the next one, and so on. And then remember, your homework for tonight is just the one page in the packet, page 29. Have a great rest of your day.